Hey, what is up, YouTube? Kolst here with continuing on the murder at Castle Nathria card review. We are going to Shaman now, and I'm losing my ability to speak, but let's just get right into these cards. So the first one here is Gigan Totem. 10 mana, 8/8 Totem, and we have you Twitch chat here, by the way. Costs 1 less for each totem you summon this game. So there are some ways to get totems, potentially, outside of your hero power, but also anytime you hero power, this gets discounted. Except compared to like Thing from Below, it's probably just worse, right? This Thing from Below was like 4 mana cheaper. You got a 5/5 that had taunt, where this is just an 8/8. But there are other ways to get totems besides just using your hero power. So if you do have some of that synergy, this can be pretty good. Overall, I mean, if you expect to be hero powering, then this thing gets pretty decent in an average deck, but otherwise you probably wouldn't want this unless you actually had some of the synergy. But there is some synergy for totems, so that can make this pretty good. So, you know, with the synergy, very good card. Without the synergy, it's okay. Usually won't be too bad. Next one we have here is Crud Caretaker. 4 mana, 1/1. Battle Cry. Summon a 3/5 elemental with taunt. This is a very funny card for them to be printing right now, because this comes with a set where they're pushing evolve synergy. So this will just screw over your own evolves, but you can also evolve it, so it's interesting. Because that would be the idea, is that they have ways to evolve things. You can play this, evolve the 1/1, but also get the 3/5 elemental as well. 3/5 elemental, I imagine, is 4 cost as well, yeah. But that is also indeed true that Senjin is in shambles. But yeah, like getting a Senjin plus a 1/1 is already good. But getting a Senjin plus a 1/1 where you also get to evolve that 1/1 into a 5 or a 6 drop. Extremely, extremely good. So with the evolve cards, this can be extremely good. But otherwise, just pretty good card. The filth, yeah, they just filthy, truly filthy. Moving on next to Criminal Lineup. 8 mana spell, common card. Common, why is this a common? 8 mana, choose a friendly minion, summon 3 copies of it, overload 2. So basically now against Shaman, if they ever stick a minion, they win. Is basically what this means. If they ever stick a big minion into late game, that is terrifying. You're always going to have to be aware of this card's existence. This card is indeed criminal. Can you sing the opening to I Want It That Way? Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, it's almost irresponsible, but like you're gonna get forced to take this sometimes because it's a common, you're gonna get offered it, and then it's like, yeah, you stick a minion, you win. I don't like this. It's like a really big Conjurer's Calling, right? Because you could imagine, like, it would be the same thing with Conjurer's Calling, where you would stick 1 big minion and then you double Conjurer's Calling it, and it would be like the same kind of effect, basically. Yeah, you get 4 Onyxias, and you just have 1 Whelp, and they're all, yeah, I don't know. So it's just like one of those it's an ultimate win condition card, but sometimes it's going to do completely nothing, and then sometimes you're going to win with it. I guess, like, the one thing to say is, like, on the average time, like, even if you stick, like, a 4/4, right? Like, this is already very good, so it's like, yeah. It's going to be a pretty good card, even on average, just because you can even play, like, a Stranglethorn Tiger, right? That's the thing, is like, if you have this card, pick Stranglethorn Tiger. Basically. Yeah. There's just ways you can make it work like that, basically. Moving on to Carving Chisel. 2 mana, 1/3 weapon. After your hero attacks, summon a random basic totem. This is a way to get a lot of totems to make your Gigan Totem or Gigan Totem cheaper. So overall, I mean, it's just a lot, right? Instead of hero powering, you get a 1/3 that lets you hero power 3 times for 2 mana. Strength Totem is a very good pull with this. Potentially, if you have other minions, provide you even more tempo. Can give you taunts, which could be very annoying. Can give you heal totems, draw some more totems, more power. Just very, very nice. Yeah, it's a ping and a non-ping class as well. Even the other 1/3 weapons, it's probably the best 1/3 weapon Shaman's had, at least as far as Arena is concerned. Maybe the spell damage one was better and constructed, but yeah, like, this is probably the best one for Arena. It's never gonna be bad. It's always good. Next up, we have Party Favor Totem. 3 mana, 0/3 totem. Rare. At the end of your turn, summon a random basic totem. Infuse 2, summon 2 instead. more ways to get totems. This one's definitely a lot worse than the, wait, I mean, at its base level, it's a lot worse than the weapon. This thing is a hell of a threat. When you get random basic totems, you can get the same basic totem. You could potentially, and this is summon 2 at the end of your turn, you can get 2, theoretically, you can get 2 taunt totems per turn. Oh my god. That's actually insane. A little bit of anti-synergy for Strength Totem, because Strength Totem would not trigger, right? Because it's being summoned at the end of the turn, and it won't trigger because it's getting summoned during the end of turn phase. But, yeah, like, this is actually a real significant threat if you infuse it. You probably just wouldn't want to use it with, in its base form. I mean, you could, but you really would want to infuse 2, and then it's a hell of a threat. Let's point out, you could actually, it could be awkward because you could board lock yourself, but I don't know, it's like as long as you have Strength Totems or something, or you can have Bloodlust to activate them. This thing can be very, very annoying because, yeah, like it's just, it's more stats than your opponent can deal with. Like, they can't realistically do this without it. They can't deal with this without an AoE, especially if you get a taunt early enough. It's actually pretty interesting. Now, is this a card you actually want to draft? It's a little weird because you can't infuse it on curve very often. You could sometimes, like if you have the 2-drop, the 2-mana 1/1 that gives you a 2-drop. This could actually be good. It'll give you your Gigan Totem really fast. I think this is actually pretty good, honestly. It's just very annoying. It's a low enough cost that it's like, why not? I guess the reason why not is because it doesn't really have any attack damage immediately. But I don't know, man. It's like really annoying. There's just things you can do with it. I think you want to have a plan with this. You want to have like, if you don't have like Bloodlust or something, then, you know, board locking yourself becomes like a real threat. You need to have things like Bloodlust or something. But if you do, Bloodlust, Flame Tongue Totem, this kind of stuff, I think you can, I think this is worth it. Like, imagine this with Flame Tongue's really good. I think that's where I'd put it, is like, you need a little bit of synergy. But if you do, this is really good. But I wouldn't just draft it with no synergy at all. Talking about synergy with this card, the Stonewright. 4-mana legendary, 4-mana 5/4, Battle Cry. For the rest of the game, your totems have +2 attack. So this will buff totems even if they're on board, right? You can just, theoretically, if you can infuse this on curve, then you play this, and then you just keep getting a bunch of 2/2 totems. Crazy good. And yeah, like this is just, I don't know if this would qualify as like a 5-star legendary, just because, I mean, it's not at the level, I don't think it's at the level of like, you know, some of the most broken ones now, but just because it's not quite enough instant impact most of the time. But yeah, I mean, like, if you have a totem build at all, which you probably will, because the totem stuff seems kind of draftable and worth it, then it's good, because if you do have totems, then this is effectively a Flame Tongue immediately, and it's also just a 5/4, so it's a very good card. It's just not like, it's not like crazy broken, but it's, yeah, it's very good. Next one we have here, we're getting into the Evolve synergy stuff here. This is Convincing Disguise. 1 mana, rare spell, transform a friendly minion into one that costs 2 more. Infuse 4, transform all friendly minions instead. This is something you can combo with that 4-mana 1/1 that you had, but also, yeah, Infuse 4 is not too hard to pull off, right? And then you get like a buffed up Evolve. A lot of the times, like, I think you're really only gonna really need it on one thing anyway, so you're gonna play this sometimes uninfused. It's totally playable, especially with certain combo pieces, not infused at all. You could even, if you're in that situation where you're board locking yourself with the party favorite totem, you could just evolve the totem to get rid of it. If you actually got into that situation, it's very good. Or you can evolve just all of your totems, by the way. But yeah, like, it seems pretty good. It's probably better than, I think it's better than Evolve was. And Evolve was not amazing in Arena, but it's pretty good, you know? I think it's much better, actually. Next up, we have another Evolve card, which is the location for Shaman. Muck Pools, 1 mana, 3 durability, transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. So you get to play this on turn 1, and then if you wanted on turn 2, you could evolve your totem into a 2-drop. Amazing. But you could also, if you have like the 2-drop the 2-mana 1/1, which we keep mentioning. I should just pull this up because I keep talking about it. But the like if you have like Maze Guide or something, you could also just evolve this on curve, get a 3-drop and a 2-drop for 2 mana. Well, in addition to this 1-mana card that you played on turn 1. So yeah, just a very good. Again, like I think you are pretty happy to evolve just 1 minion a lot of the time. It's just you can only use this every other turn, so that limits its ability to snowball yourself right into a win immediately. But I think it's good. I think you'll draft it a lot. Talking about things that you would want this with though. Baroness Vosh. This is a 4-mana 3/6 Naga. Legendary. If this would transform into a minion, summon that minion instead. So what you could do is you could play this on turn 1, use it on turn 2. This thing is on cooldown on turn 3. And then you play this on turn 4 and then evolve it immediately. You get a 3/6 and a 5-drop. Pretty darn good. Even if you don't have any of the evolve synergy, like it's still a 4-mana 3/6, which is pretty alright. I think a 4-mana 3/6 is better than a Yeti, so it's good. Even without that, but yeah. Funny polymorph interaction. Yeah, if your opponent tries to polymorph this, you just get a jellyfish. That's great. But yeah, like just card that can be game winning. Usually it's just gonna kind of be a 4-mana 3/6, but if you get like any evolves, like you're getting a 5 or a 6-drop just added. So yeah, it's like if you have any synergy at all, you probably want to take this most of the time. It's not gonna be a lot of things that are better, frankly. But yeah, you wouldn't pick it super premium without the evolve stuff. The last one we have here is the last evolve card, which is Primordial Wave. 3-mana nature spell. Epic. Transform enemy minions into ones that cost 1 less, and friendly minions into one that costs 1 more. So it's basically, I talked about this in a lot more depth in the last video, so it'll be kind of brief, because it's basically an evolve and a devolve combined. But I think this card is actually worse than either of those cards is. Maybe not worse than, well, it's worse than both of them combined. Because the odds are you're actually not going to want to use both of these at the same time. It's possible, but I don't think it's very likely. There's always risk to evolving things into understat minions and also devolving things into overstat minions. So it's like, if it lines up perfectly, if your opponent has a big death rattle minion and you also want to evolve your board, it's great, but sometimes you're just not going to want to do both and it's going to be awkward. So there's going to be a cost to, you're just not always going to want, it's just going to be awkward. You're not always going to want to play it. You want one effect, but not the other. But I mean, overall, it's like a thing you wouldn't mind having one of in your deck because it's situational, but it's very good sometimes. So I think it's like still a pretty good card. Just I wouldn't rate it super. You definitely wouldn't want to have like a bunch of these, I don't think. Although I guess like double evolving, double devolving could be good. I guess maybe you would want more because then it would protect you from the bad outcomes theoretically. But yeah, I wouldn't rate this super high, but I think it's decent. I said I wasn't going to talk about this card too long, and I ended up talking for 2 minutes. But anyway, that is it for the Shaman cards. Thanks a lot for hanging out, everyone, on Twitch and in YouTube as well. See you guys in the next one, which is, what are we doing next? Warlock. Beautiful, okay. Bye, YouTube.